on the clock. It's the Fox 6 Sports Blitz on a busy Sunday night with a lot ahead this week in the world of sports. You see Tim Van Born, that's me, I'm here in the studio. And you see Brandon Cruz and Lily Zhao joining us live from Fiserv Forum. We're talking Bucks playoffs in just a moment. So here's our starting lineup. An explosive first half from Damian Lillard seals a Game-1 victory for the Bucks. The Brewers take the brooms out. They just take care of those Cardinals. Jerry Kelly uses the force in Say What? We make our pitch to the WNBA, and we finish with some Rocket League in this week's High School Hot Shot. Yes, indeed.
The biggest thing in the playoffs is just winning the game, no matter how it is. If it's a street fight, if it's an ugly game, is you're hitting 23, however it gets done. The main thing is just to win, come back tomorrow, correct some things, and then get back at it on Tuesday.
How about Bobby Portis? Nice ensemble there. Nice game with Giannis Antetokounmpo out. Portis steps up, double-double for him, double-double for Chris Middleton, monster game for Damian Lillard, and all is forgotten about the backsliding Bucks, or is it? Damian Lillard tries to take care of that. Brandon Cruz, Lily Zhao, let's get it down to you guys at Fiserv Forum. You saw this whole game. We can take it apart. And what about that idea that what happened at the tail end of the regular season, falling to the number 3 seed and all that stuff, at least tonight, does it matter, or is this a new Bucks team?
It's a new Bucks team. It's the playoffs. Everything matters in a different way now. Every game matters. Whereas down this stretch, yeah, they were trying to fight for a seed maybe, but they knew they were in the playoffs. They also were without Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they knew that he wasn't going to be a part of it. Damian Lillard wasn't 100% healthy. So they come into this now knowing that they have to win. So they accomplished that on Sunday night with this dominant win over Indiana, led by Damian Lillard's 35 points in the first half. He had a great supporting cast in Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis. And then he also had some very nice defense on the side of Brook Lopez with 3 big blocks. So to me, what you saw was a team that did turn the page, but also really came together, in my opinion, over this week of practice, being able to focus on what they needed to do to get a big win over Indiana and set the tone for the series. Now, one thing we always have to remember, adjustments are going to be made tomorrow. They're going to have another game on Tuesday, and we could see a completely different story. But what they did was come out in Game 1 and set a tone saying that even without Giannis Antetokounmpo, this team is ready for the postseason and trying to make a run deep into the playoffs.
And I just wanted to add here in terms of setting the tone, right? There was a lot of talk outside of Milwaukee saying, if the Bucks kind of get swept in the first round, where is Giannis playing? Damian Lillard looks unhappy playing in Milwaukee. There was a lot of outside noise that Doc Rivers even said, listen, we're not listening to that, right? Guys aren't focused on that. So I think a win like this, specifically with how Damian Lillard played, really kind of said, hey, you know what? Let's not think about that, right? This is a team focused on winning games, winning one game at a time against the Pacers. I think they did a fantastic job really blocking all that outside noise out and saying we're playing Bucks basketball, and this is how they look today.
Well, and the other thing you were talking about there is talking about the outside noise, and especially the claim that Damian Lillard doesn't like being in Milwaukee. He addressed that on Friday before this game and just basically put an end to it, saying that's not the case. People don't understand all the other concerns that he has, but he likes what he's doing here. He likes what this team is, and he likes playing in Milwaukee. So to me, that was one of the things that they did try to do this week, was quell all of that and just focus on their basketball, and clearly in Game 1 they did, Tim.
How impressive was the offensive display in person? We know Lillard can go off. He certainly was going off.
He wasn't. I mean, Lily and I were sitting next to each other the entire game, and every time we're looking at each other like, oh my gosh, did you see that? I mean, he was just really unstoppable. And the other thing that I noticed with the way he played, he got this crowd into it so quickly, and they never quieted it down.
Yeah, they really didn't. And we mentioned this earlier, and you did too, was that, a lot of times we heard, what time is it? It's Dame time. And that's really what you want to see, right? Without Giannis, the team is going to lean on Damian Lillard, and he delivered a perfect playoff Dame performance. This is exactly why they brought Damian Lillard to Milwaukee, was to have nights like this where he could drop 35 points in the first half, set the tone, and have other guys behind him really kind of pick up the slack in the second half. So I think, when he set the tone, he got the crowd into it. That really was a good sign of things to come for how they can turn the series in their favor if a star like Damian Lillard is playing the way he is.
Well, and you talked about guys behind Lillard who had that monster number in the first half, but the Bucks don't win this game he had no points in the second half, so they don't win it without Bobby Portis, without Chris Middleton, without Brooke Lopez. Maybe even a resurgence of Malik Beasley. Doc Rivers has been trying to get his confidence up. What about the rest of the guys, Brandon? And in a playoff series, a lot of times the rest of the guys decide wins and losses.
Yeah, and what you saw there was right when they sat Damian Lillard for the first time, Bobby Portis really came on and had 8 points there and really kind of kept the offensive pressure going for the Bucks. In the second half, it was more Chris Middleton hitting shots. And one of the things that you're not going to see too much, obviously, when you break down the points made or the rebounds or whatever, was the play of Patrick Beverley. He was just a nuisance to the Pacers out there. And this game at time got chippy between other guys, but Pat Beverley really also just kind of put his attitude into this game, and I think he disrupted Indiana in many different ways that you're not going to see in a box score.
Pacers such a high-scoring team. They didn't score a lot of points, Lily. The credit, I think, there goes to the Bucks defense and maybe some nerves on the part of the Pacers. Do you see Indiana getting back into this series after what you saw tonight?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a team that's going to go down, kind of laying down, right? Again, this is a team that can score. They know how to put a lot of points on the board. Of course, the Bucks held them to under 100 points for the first time this season, which was impressive. But we saw those second half adjustments that the Pacers made. They doubled Dame like 94 feet from the basket, so they were getting to him. But luckily, everybody else around him was picking up the slack and scoring. But this is a Pacers team that certainly can make adjustments. And if they go down, 0-2 or 1-1 going back to Indy, you have to believe this is going to be a determined team led by Tyrese Halliburton, knowing that, listen, we got our butts kicked in game one. We're going to try to turn things around. So I don't think that this is a team that is going to be looking to get swept, but the Bucks kind of want to really put their foot down and win this thing if they can. But, I think this Pacers team made the necessary adjustments in the second half, but fortunately for Milwaukee, their other guys outside of Dame stepped up, and that was, again, a big reason why they won tonight.
And the best player on either roster didn't play tonight, and that's Giannis Antetokounmpo. Halftime in the opening segment. It means it's time for the Fox 6 Blitz Insta Poll. You can go directly to the question by scanning the QR code on the screen, or you can go to fox6now.com. Speaking of Giannis, do the Bucks need him to win this series against the Pacers? You saw what you saw tonight. You know what the Bucks have with Giannis. You know what the Pacers have. Curious to see what your answers will be as we roll on.
Just my short time up here, I've been seeing some pretty good pitching performances. So huge credit to Colin. I know he was, that was fun just playing defense behind him, and you can just tell, man, he got out of some tough situations early and competed, and that's all anybody can ask for. And then our bullpen come in and shutting it down like that, it's pretty special, and it's fun to watch.
Well, Brewers are fun to watch right now. That was Owen Miller, of course, the local hero, and he comes through with the big 2-run hit today that gives the Brewers a win in St. Louis. He was referencing Colin Ray, who was the starting pitcher. No decision for Ray today, but good pitching, good hitting, and timely hitting for sure, and a real good week for the Milwaukee Brewers. Brandon and Lily are both at Fiserv Forum, but have been monitoring the Brewers all season long. Best road record in the bigs. Brandon, what do you attribute that to?
I just think it's a team that is just loose, and they have fun, and they enjoy playing away from home as much as they like playing at home. And I think they don't worry about being in St. Louis, taking on the Cardinals in their division. It's another game that they're ready for. And what we've noticed is on Sundays, Colin Ray has been getting the ball 4 different times, and here he is pitching great again, not allowing a run against the Cardinals. And every weekend, it seems, you start with Friday with Freddie, Saturday is D.L. Hall, who's had some struggles, but then Sunday, that consistency of Colin Ray really seems to make a huge difference, and that's why you're seeing them win on the weekends, because they're starting pitching 2 out of 3 days. Each weekend has been delivering, and then their offense comes through, even if it hasn't been great. I mean, a 1-0 game this week, a 2-1, and then a 2-0 game. So when the offense hasn't been there, it's guys like Colin Ray that have been stepping up along with the bullpen, of course.
Yeah, Colin Ray and Freddie Peralta, both no decisions in their good pitching performances in St. Louis this weekend, but D.L. Hall now on the injured list. Very, very short with starting pitching. Lily, somehow this team is rising above it, and it's kind of a sum of all parts approach. Today, Owen Miller drives in the only runs of the game. Is that fostered by Pat Murphy? Is that the internal competition by these guys? What is it?
I think it's all of it, right? I think, Pat Murphy said, maybe a week or so ago, was, a lot of guys don't, a lot of people outside of Milwaukee, I should say, don't really know who's on our team. And they like that. They like kind of being the underdogs, per se, despite the fact that they are winning a lot of these games. They like the fact that people don't really know who their starting pitchers are, who the guys in the bullpen are, who their big hitters are, and they relish that. But I think it really is a sum of the parts because, you talk about, Brandon, if Colin Ray steps up, he's doing well. The bullpen is holding it down, but guys are having big individual nights. William Contreras, able to kind of get the Brewers a win with his hitting a couple days ago, and then you have Hobie Milner getting his first career big league save as well. So you just have different guys doing it on different days, and the fact that everyone is stepping up and it's not just one guy consistently shows you how kind of deep this young team is.
We see the Brewers on top of the division there by a full 2 games. You're going to learn some of these people, though. Bryce Terang leading the league in stolen bases at one point this week. William Contreras leading the National League in hitting at one point this week. Now on to Pittsburgh. The Pirates got off to an early start, but they've faded back now. Is this Brewers team legit, Brandon? It's a 20-game sample size. Can this be sustained even with the short outings by the starting pitchers?
I think that's what we're going to have to find out, because right now at this time of the season, even though the bullpen's being used a lot, we're not going to know how taxed they are at this point, because it's not July, it's not August, it's not September of getting a ton of work. So right now, yeah, everything's great, but I do think very soon they need to start to get deeper starting pitching performances. They need to have a reliable starter every night. And even though DL Hall has struggled and is now on the injured list, as you said, they need to have more consistency in that spot. If they get that, I think this team is for real. I think if they don't, then we're going to get into trouble because of the innings worked by this bullpen. There has been a lot so far, and they've done a great job, but it is only April, and that is a concern if we get into the summer months and these guys are still getting a ton of work.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and you can't just find starting pitching somewhere. So they'll take it all to this point, and like in a playoff series, you just have to adjust and go forward. Badgers basketball, talk about adjusting and going forward. It's an offseason to forget. Another player leaves Madison this week for the transfer portal, Chucky Hepburn. He says thank you, of course, but after 3 seasons with Wisconsin, he's out leading the Badgers in scoring his sophomore season before becoming a little bit more of a point guard, you'd say. Also, former teammate A.J. Storr this week announcing that his next choice is Kansas. Connor Essegian announcing tonight that his next choice is Nebraska. Also, a new era for Marquette women's basketball. The Golden Eagles are saying hello, sort of hello again, to head coach Cara Consuegra. She was an assistant under Terry Mitchell from 2004 to 2011, then spent 13 seasons as the head coach at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. She's the leader all-time in wins there. Now she's coming, hoping to bring some wins to the Golden Eagles. We're coming back with more on the Blitz in a moment.
Do I vote? I don't even know if I vote for her.
You really want to ask that question out of the gate?
I just like getting people's attention with something.
My significant other thinks he's sexy, so.
Wow. That was interesting. Was that Taylor Swift?
I'm going to say it's a little more Luke Skywalker than Darth Vader. But there is a force behind the lean. There's no question. I can affect that ball. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to tell you how, but I can affect that ball.
The powers of Madison's Jerry Kelly there on the golf course. All right, we don't usually get to do an Insta poll. We're getting our own question here tonight, though, trying a little something different. Should the WNBA come to Milwaukee as they're talking about expansion? And why? What's Milwaukee's sales pitch? Brandon and Lily, take it away.
Well, I think the sales pitches, you saw this crowd in here with what they did for the Bucks. I believe that would happen all the time for the WNBA. I think that this is such a popular sport, especially right now. I was at my son's soccer game. He's 9 years old today. I was talking to a few of the parents, and I couldn't tell you how long our conversation was about the WNBA today. It was the most I've ever heard anybody talk about it. Everybody around this town is talking about the WNBA. Caitlin Clark has a lot to do with that, but I think the way basketball is in this town, especially because of the Bucks, I think it would be huge here from a fan's point of view, and I think they would be able to pack this building because of what they were able to do.
And I would say, why not, right? I mean, in 10, we have the Bucks, the Brewers, the Admirals. We have other teams as well. Why not have a WNBA team? There's a lot of good homegrown talent from Milwaukee and Wisconsin. Arika Umbawala, you have Natisha Heidemann. A lot of those ladies growing up and playing in Wisconsin. So why not have a team here to celebrate those ladies and say, we can bring in top talent like Caitlin Clark to Milwaukee and get a lot of more eyeballs on the town and, of course, on a team here. So why not? I think it'd be fun to have a team.
Why not? That's
Why not?
the answer.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. And Milwaukee just supports its sports opportunities. So let's face it, you have the races coming back to the Milwaukee Mile because they think there's a market for that. You have the golf tournaments that can traditionally draw well in Wisconsin. Fiserv Forum obviously booked up for a pretty big event later this summer, but once you pass that, then you have the summers clear at Fiserv Forum. So I do think it's an interesting time for the WNBA in general, and Milwaukee would seem like a spot that they would want to pursue. Let's check in on the Insta poll that you're participating in. You can go to the QR code, of course, or you can go to fox6now.com. Do the Bucks need Giannis Antetokounmpo to win this series against the Pacers? They're 1-0 without him, but you say they still need him. Playoff soccer alive and well in Milwaukee. The Wave will need to pull off another road win to advance again. The Wave dropping Game 1 of the MASL Eastern Conference Final on Friday night, 5-4 to Kansas City. The Comets get that win. Game 2 is Monday night in Kansas City. We'll see how the Wave can do. We also know that we'll see our high school hotshot right after this break. We appreciate your company tonight on the FOX6 Sports Blitz. Not just traditional sports. Esports has been on the rise in popularity across the globe. Now most schools fielding competitive teams. Wisconsin has an organized high school league with state championships awarded. And this senior helped his team reach that level for the first time. Here is this week's high school hotshot.
I'm coaching you. Hi, I'm Luis Arroyo. I'm a senior at Whitefish Bay, and I'm on the esports team.
It's game time.
Our Rocket League team got third place in the state championship. So we competed in it's a game called Rocket League, and basically what it is car soccer. So you control a little car, and you kind of drive around the field, and then you've got like rocket boosters and stuff, and you got to score goals. So it's basically just soccer, but with cars. When we're looking for improvement, most of it is just playing the game and like kind of getting reps in. We study the other team's games, try and catch weaknesses and stuff. You can look at a lot of the other team's film. It helped us a lot when we were trying to make our title run. You play a season of games, and then you're seeded based on your results. And if you finish in the top 16 seeds in your division, you make playoffs. So we were placed as the 10 seed this year, and we ended up making a big run to the state championship, and we were the 10 seed, so that was pretty big for us. They wrote us off early. They didn't think we could do it. And it was a really cool environment, a lot of kids everywhere, a lot of people that, they have the same passions, they're all in one room. Yeah, I think it was pretty close. It was like 2-1. We were just screaming at each other. We were like, oh, we gotta win this, keep them out. It was really intense. So we've never made it to a state championship before. It feels good to finally get there. So I do soccer and ski racing, as well as track and field.
Nice.
Soccer is like my main sport. I love soccer so much. I'm the goalie, yeah. Thing with goalie, it's painful. You get hit with the ball, which is nice because Rocket League, you can't get hit with the ball. So I'm planning on attending University of Wisconsin lacrosse and majoring in molecular genetics. I really like biology, so that's where I'm headed. Hi, I'm Luis Arroyo. I'm a senior at Whitefish Bay, and I am on the esports team that got third place at the Winter Rocket League State Championships. And I'm this week's FOX6 High School Hotshot.
We're happy to spotlight a little something different. Luis says he will continue enjoying all of his sports in some way as he moves to college. Whitefish Bay is in the process of adding to their computer lab to accommodate even more kids to join. Booming these days. We're back with the Blitz in a moment. You say you want to see Giannis Antetokounmpo if the Bucks are going to win this opening playoff series against the Indiana Pacers. Speaking of the Bucks, here's what's ahead this week. A home game and then on the road in Indiana. Brandon Cruz will be with the team in Indiana with his reports right here on Fox 6. Brewers at Pirates, busy week, then back home against the Yankees. Also, Packers NFL draft this week. I'll be in Green Bay. Should be very interesting. Lots of picks for the Packers. All right, Lily and Brandon down at Fiserv Forum. Each one of you, what are you looking for this week? There are a lot of choices.
I would say game 2, can the Bucks really keep up the pace against the Pacers and take a 2-0 lead into Indy? I think so.
And I'm looking to see what they can do, because you figure Indiana's going to focus on Damian Lillard a lot. What other guys are going to step up?
Absolutely, makes a lot of sense. Wave also in the playoffs. I'm watching that Packers draft. You have a chance to change your roster significantly with all the ammunition that Brian Gutekunst has at his disposal. Should be a very interesting week. Say nothing about a first-place baseball team. Thanks for staying up with us tonight on The Blitz.